It was surreal and at the same time extremely natural, I think is the best way for me to describe it. The way it even all came about was that I had happened to meet someone who was organizing the entire event, and it all happened really quickly. I was interviewing her for another reason, and she invited me to do this. I told her I knew how to do the adhan, and she brought me in, and it was just beautiful. I mean, I hate to be simplistic about it, but it was gorgeous. It was in a church, which was even all the more beautiful, and it felt really natural. It's not controversial. And even Dr. Amina, she was very firm in saying this is not the first female-led prayer. This is just the first female-led prayer that's being done publicly. And I think the point was we're going to do it. We can do it with all of the cameras and the circus and all of that. But I really feel like what she was trying to say is that it's a perfectly natural thing to occur. Now, the reason I did it is because I could. My grandfather had been well known in Cairo as doing the adhan, and I wanted to not miss the opportunity to do the same thing as well. Of course, since it was internationally covered, Al Jazeera was there, and they taped and filmed the whole thing and then broadcast it. And if I remember correctly, the big ordeal with my choice was that not only was I a female doing the adhan, which was a big deal in of itself, equivalent to doing the co-ed prayer and the equivalent of having Dr. Amina do the leading the prayer in the service, but I chose not to cover my hair. And this was something that was advised to me when I said, do you think I should cover my hair or not? The response to me was, do you normally cover your hair in everyday life? And I said, no. And they said, well, we want everyone to be as honest as possible in this experience. So I chose not to cover my hair. And my family, my extended family is all in Cairo, Egypt. So they called my parents and they said, we just saw Suehyla on the television doing the adhan and the call to prayer. And apparently they were bringing in imams who were interviewing and looking at the footage and were asked, what do you think? Not what do you think about a female doing the call to prayer, but how do you feel about the fact that she didn't cover her hair? My father was, who was a devout Muslim, said when I told him I was doing this, he was completely against it. He said it was wrong, he didn't like it. But when this commentary started coming out, his response to me was, why didn't you cover your hair? That way they could focus on what was actually happening and instead of finding an excuse to distract themselves. Mm-hmm. So I found that to be both a positive and a negative reaction all in one. I find my faith to be one referenced on the outskirts of the actual Islamic practices. By not covering my hair, by not adhering to all of the ways of the Islamic faith, I don't want to ever insult the rest of the followers who are very disciplined in it and say that I'm truly a Muslim. So I have a humorous approach to accepting what happened on that day, and also a very spiritual approach. Again, I say it was extremely natural. It stands by my fight. I think what keeps me back in the Islamic culture is that I don't understand their response to women. I psychologically and logically work my way through, okay, well, we're dealing with a patriarchal culture. This happens, this happens, this happens. And this religion was revealed to them. It's still growing and trying to figure itself out. How did it affect me? For the first time ever in my life, I got to sit through a religious service in terms that I understood instead of terms of where I was compromising understanding. Mm-hmm. And that helped a lot. And I got to come back from that and know that nothing felt wrong. And that meant a lot to me.